Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Content. I'm excited to be introducing a Southampton-based band, Jetski Babylon, who have been developing into something pretty special over the last couple of years. In April of 2020, they released a new single, Porcelain. It's an absolute rager, so do check that out. But for now, let's cut to the chat. Oh, and don't forget to stick around for some bonus content at the end. Hi, and thanks for joining me on Content. I forgot the name of my own podcast there. This week we are introducing a number of you to Jetski Babylon. Boys, introduce yourselves and also introduce those that are missing, because I know you're not all there. I mean, literally and physically.
Hey guys, I'm Tom, and I play drums in the band.
I'm George, and I play bass.
And I'm Max, and I play guitar, and I do back vocals as well.
And
have to get in there. Have to get that in there.
Get the backing vocals.
You do two things. All these mugs next to me just do one. I do two.
We're missing our esteemed colleagues in Ollie Till and Joe Exelby. Ollie sings, and Joe plays the other guitar.
Okay. And where are they? What's their excuse?
Ollie's in Birmingham.
Yeah, Ollie's in not Birmingham. Ollie likes to say he's from Birmingham, but he's not. He's in Stourport with his family, and Joe is in Fareham with his family.
Oh, okay. Not too far away.
Yeah, not too bad.
Groovy. So, for context, we are still in lockdown. So, do you boys live together, or are you just closely associated? Are you in your bubble?
We're in our we're in our distance bubble. Well, they call it a support bubble now.
Support bubble. Yeah. Okay. Good. And yeah, so the band is on. I guess every band is kind of on pause at the moment. But you were in the process of putting some music out, right?
Yeah. We actually did put something out pretty recently.
We managed to put our cool song called Porcelain out right in the middle of lockdown. Video as well was nice. That came out like 2 months ago. Done by yourself, which I'm sure you have fond memories of. It's a nice little single.
Fond memories, definitely.
Fond memories.
Fable time.
I quite like the video that we released for it as well, because we went up to Bath. And we had a really nice day out in Bath, and our good friend Dev Place did the video for us. And and then we at the end we chucked in a nice bit for George's dad as well.
Yeah, just for context, I don't want to go on about it, but my dad died in April of COVID-19, and we were all in the process of putting the bloody single out. It happened to have a cameo of him in it, and he didn't realise it was going to be in the final cut.
Oh, bless.
So it came out about 5 days after he died. And I'm doing
hell.
all the admin for the record and all the socials and stuff, and it's always in my face. So it's really nice to see that, actually. It's gone down pretty well.
So do you think that kind of, I mean, feel free to move past this, but do you think that might have helped the kind of grieving process a little bit, having something out there that's like you're always going to have that memory of that, you know?
Yeah, definitely. The thing is we put it in at the end of the video is Gary, my dad, was so blissfully unaware of how many people actually loved him. He was not in a bad way, and all the guys in the band and everyone that I met loved him. So it's really nice that he's in there a bit. You know, he was super proud of me, so I'm told. So
Well, I'm absolutely positive he would have been.
Yeah.
So okay, yeah. So a little bit of a sad start, but
sorry, dragging us right down.
I think I mean when the video came out and I saw that, I was pretty touched. You know, not touched as I was. You know, I did find it kind of emotionally resonant, seeing Gary in there and seeing the little thing at the end. I thought it was really lovely. So what's next? Then the band have got a whole EP coming out, right?
Yeah. It's called Bliss Decline. It's going to drop who knows when, because we've brought everything
we haven't
on pause.
planned that yet.
It's a 6-track It's really, I think it's really good.
They're definitely my favourite songs that we've done so far.
Yeah,
I think objectively, like I've been involved with your project since its inception, really. And I think you formed at university like a lot of bands do, and you've kind of slowly shaped yourselves into a really cohesive band with a sonic identity, which I think early on you didn't have, and now it feels like you're now at the point where you are. This is Jetski Babylon. This is your sound, and moving forward, it's probably going to be the kind of sound you take forward with you. I mean, that's my assumption.
I would. I mean, I've certainly, because the writing process that I do for the instrumentals. For me, I have a very set writing process, and the sound that comes out of the demos that I were to give you or anyone else who's producing it, I like to translate pretty much bang on whenever they come through. So especially the new stuff that I'm writing is not too dissimilar.
Yeah, which you've got to come in and record later in the year.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited about that as well, because all that stuff is coming on really nicely.
Good to hear. So, all right, there's enough context for us all. Let's get to the juicy shit, shall we?
Yeah, please.
I like juice.
Did you have a favourite record of last year? Because this year has been such a write-off as of yet, and it's only like June. Because you...
Oh, God.
This is like since we've known you, you've done some bloody brilliant records.
So whoa. So do you mean favourite record that I made, or just as a consumer?
Favourite record that you've been involved in to some degree
in 2019?
2019, because,
Okay. What I would say is my favourite project doesn't always correlate with like the biggest project I did that year. Sometimes you can just have really great experiences.
True.
So I've spoken about them a lot on other podcasts. So I'll just give an honourable mention to Bare Dreams. Although that recording session was 2018, it came out in 2019. And for me, that was a really, really special set. And I know for Kurt and Dom and everyone that kind of engineered and assisted on it as well, a similar kind of thing. Everyone really enjoyed the project. So last year I worked on a bunch of records. I absolutely had a blast doing, like Nervous. Their record came out that was called Tough Crowd. That was done super fast. The mix was turned around super fast, and the master was done super fast. I think the whole thing took like 9 days, 8 days recording.
Was that the one with the Metallica cover in it?
Oh, fuck me, yeah. While they were in the studio, they were obsessed with the Swizz Beats and Metallica. Yeah, we did it. I must have heard that a million times during that session. We turned around the mix like in a day or two, something insane like that.
Oh, wow.
I think if I remember right, the revisions were really minimal, and it was essentially, we're done. And I had to almost push to be like, can I do some more revisions, please? Because I'm not happy. And their response in some places were like, it is what it is.
There's a song on that record. There's a really poignant song at the moment on that record. It's called "They Don't Keep You Safe." That's one of my favourite tunes on that record. That is horrendously poignant at the moment.
For further context, we are, in week 2 or 3 of this kind of like worldwide Black Lives Matter / just sort of facing up to some of the injustices in the world, and historically, some pretty unpleasant histories and truths that we need to face up to. And They Don't Keep Us Safe is a song by Nervous, which is very much in the vein of Defund the Police, ACAB, all that kind of stuff. Before it was cool, though,
Yeah,
I'm sure they'd want that in there. Interesting point about that song. There's a little piano melody that comes in halfway through, which is actually the theme from The Bill.
That's great. That's a lovely lyric.
Why is it people wanna focus on state violence when that officer
and it's really subtle. I don't think you'd notice it unless it's pointed out, but it is the Bill theme, but
that's
in the Keen song.
That's nice and nerdy, isn't it?
It's cool. So that was a fun record. What else came out last year? So I'm going to give a shout out to a couple of other things quickly. Band that I don't think they've got a lot of exposure, but they're called Wolf Culture. And they have just put out a new song recently that we did in 2019. And I really loved their EP. They're a band with like a really clear vision. They sort of come into the idea with these like they come into the studio with these kind of like grandiose ideas, and I love the idea they've got this like grandiose vision of what they should sound like, and they were really fun to work with, really talented, great songwriter, great arrangements, which you don't often think like, oh, the arrangement on that song's interesting, but it kind of goes in interesting directions.
Strike.
Big fan of that. The last one, give a little shout out to, it's a band called Middle Distance.
They're great. Yeah. They're so cool.
We talked about this in our. That was one of my favourite records of this year.
That was a really, really fun session. Bunch of really nice guys to work with. Super keen on just like kind of experimenting and having fun with doing stuff in the studio. Like there would be points where there's a song on there called Evergreen, which is one of my favourite songs I've recorded over the last few years. I think it's a brilliant song. And just like we were kind of like talking about the song as we were working on it, it's like, oh, do you know, it'd be great if it got some like soul-y kind of bluesy piano in there. So the next day, pianist comes in and plays, just basically ad-libs over the whole song, and we chop it up and turn it into something. And then what this really needs is some slide guitar. It's just that kind of, you know, like an idea will pop up and no idea was ever shot down. Every idea was like, yep, let's give it a go.
That's nice.
And most of them stuck. And then when it came to mixing, it was, free reign to kind of get experimental. And
Sometimes I wonder, where do you go late at night? There's no place of mine.
my first question is, you've recorded loads of times, I imagine, but you've been in the studio with me a bunch of times. So which recording memory makes you cringe when you think back on it?
Every single one of them.
You've got quite a few, Max, haven't you?
I have quite a few. Partly because I tend to make it my mission in the studio to make Neil tear his hair out.
It's bloody working.
I'm doing quite well.
I've got a good one. Is when we were doing Sympathy, a new single's out around August time from us. It's a really cool little riff, and Max just couldn't play it.
Oh no, we're not doing this one.
And we're knocking around with. We're knocking around like me, Tom sat on this sofa, and then Max is over here. We're all just chilling out, and Max is having a really tough time because it's 3 notes. Why would you not?
Can we just say I've been at work all day and I was knackered?
Yeah. And Neil just sitting there really patiently doing the most depressing tape-op thing ever about 3 times. And then Max just turns around just like, oh, how do you think it would look to us? Not to Neil. Do you think it'd sound good with some chorus on it? And Neil just turns around sharp as a tack. I think it'd be good nice if you played your fucking parts right.
the fact that afterwards he did that and then he literally looked at me dead in the eye and then swiveled back round and was chatting.
Do your job.
Amazing. Well, there's a little insight into what it's like to work with me.
You've got a few, especially of us knocked up in your memory, that have just festered in there for a while.
Well, that make me cringe, or that just funny memories?
No, or just memories of us making you die a little inside.
Well, I think I'm only like that with you guys because we've got there's a relationship there where it's it falls under that category of banter. If I honestly thought it would hurt anyone's feelings or if it was mean, I wouldn't do it, but because I know we can kind of get away with it a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
That's always nice.
You crushed me with that comment.
Right,
I was never the same guitarist again.
Thank God for that.
Cried, I'm going to be better. I need to be better.
Well, yeah, there's loads of. If I think about things I've done or said in the studio, there's fucking tons of stuff that make me cringe. But Yeah, I mean, I've been on both ends of it. People have said things to me that have beggared belief, and I've just sat there going like, "What?" And yeah, and then it's been me doing it. So
Do you have like a guilty pleasure artist that you like to be in the studio with? Not like any one particular, but like genre. Where you're like, if like someone comes to you with a project, it's like, oh, I don't like that project, but I really want to do it.
do you like in terms of like genre? Do you mean like is there like do I secretly love doing country and western or something?
Yeah, like
Because we all see doing that.
So in the past, like quite out of my remit, we've done a few records where it's been like a blues band or something like that. And it's definitely not music that I listen to very much, but I've always really enjoyed doing it. Normally just because it's kind of like vibey and organic and, like that kind of throwbacky thing where you kind of get your settings and hit go and you kind of like take your hands off the desk and let it all happen. That's pretty good fun. I've worked on, there's been a few projects where they've been quite expensive and they've had like lap steel in there and double bass and all sorts of stuff. So that's cool. It's challenging. It kind of gets me thinking, not just where shall I place the 57 on the guitar amp this week. It's more
just do punk rock every day, can you?
what takes up too much of your time.
Work.
Do you mean like as a unit, as a band?
No, individually. Let's go individually.
You know what? It used to be practicing drums, but now it's watching YouTube videos. I'm going to be totally honest with you. It's since lockdown, I've been watching a lot of like Joe Rogan podcasts, just loads of documentaries and stuff. Really.
What do you do while you're doing that? Do you do other stuff while you're listening and watching?
Yeah. So like I've kind of made my like morning routine to sort of wake up, make a coffee, have a shower and stuff. But I'll always be listening to a podcast in the background, and I've learned quite a lot through watching certain podcasts. Like there's like so many like weird theories that I've never even known about until I've watched certain podcasts.
Give me one of these weird theories.
So I would say that I can't remember which Joe Rogan podcast it was, but there was like a massive like glacial like flood, and then it sort of created like new land in like America.
Are we talking like sort of 100,000 years ago, or are we talking
about 10,000 to like 12,000 years ago? But I don't know, just like stuff like that. It's just really, really interesting.
Is that not just the Ice Age?
Sounds about right.
A little known fact.
That's cool. So I think that's good. I'm the same. I'm always listening to stuff. I don't really like quiet very much, but I also don't like too loud stuff. So podcast, perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice
So get up in the morning, pop a podcast on, make a cup of coffee.
No,
Like a bit like you, Tom. Maybe you and I should hang out a bit more. You've got similar
Let's do it, man. Yeah, let's do it.
I spend way too much time trawling eBay for secondhand sports memorabilia.
That's weirdly specific.
Now that sounds also like a lockdown hobby.
I don't think it probably is, but like I'll be buying like I love like rugby, so my wardrobe now consists of I've got 4 suits and I've got 12 Wales rugby jerseys, and I've got like I've got like a Harlequins one, I've got Bath rugby one, I've got Bristol Bears on, I've got like so many from different years.
You've got really cool hockey jerseys as well.
Hockey jerseys as well, and like shorts, and then it's recently expanded into like different polo shirts and stuff. It sounds really sad, but like I try to buy one record a week from
that's quite cool.
So 1 record a week and 1 piece of band merch a week. But I often trawl. I mean, I like everyone like loads of bands, but I try to make sure that it's like a relatively independent band that I buy from first and foremost. I know where the kind of money's going and stuff like that. But that and eBay listing takes up far too much of my time.
Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm on Reverb a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely guilty of that. Max, what are you saying? You said work.
I did say, yeah, that was kind of the joke.
Have you picked up any weird hobbies?
I'm trying to think of what I've been up to, really. You know what? I've driven myself a bit crazy, like a lot of people. If I'm not doing something creative, I'm kind of beating myself up for it. So over lockdown, we've done a bunch of drum samples. We made a Kemper profile pack. I've remixed some old projects from years ago. I've just sort of like opened them back up, stemmed them out, and then done like a new mix. I made like a massive new mix template. I've changed my monitoring at the studio, so I've been learning that. So I've been keeping busy. I'm not sure I've got any new hobbies. Unlike Kurt, studio engineer Kurt, who seems to go through hobbies every week.
I love Kurt.
Last time I spoke to him, he had spent like 80 hours over 2 weeks learning about Egyptology.
Wow.
Wow, that is a weird hobby.
Fair enough.
My God, Kurt's so clever.
Yeah.
So that was something, and yeah, he's had a bunch of that kind of thing. I think he spent a few weeks making bread, like a lot of people, and then he moved on to Egyptology, and then something else. Not really, no. I wish I could give you something more interesting, but no, is the honest answer. No new hobbies. Oh, I tell you what, I've been playing Pokemon Go.
Hey.
Oh, you're bringing back the retro stuff.
Yeah, just walking around, going for a walk every day, playing a bit of Pokemon Go.
I've taken to dye my hair.
Yeah, you've dyed your hair a lot, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been like 3 or 4
Lots of
different
different
colours.
If you could know the truth behind any mystery, what would it be?
I would say, for me, I don't know. What really got me was when I found out that below the Vatican, there's like the old archives and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's not much of a mystery, but no one apart from the people in the Vatican know what's down there. So
So you want to
I want to go down to the Vatican archives and find out exactly what is down there, because it could be like first scripture. I'm not religious, but I'd be so interested to see what they actually have down
This sounds like the start of a Dan Brown novel, doesn't it?
Yeah,
true.
exactly. Like, and it's like more the fact that I'd be so interested to see if they actually had anything good. Because if they didn't have anything good, I'd be wondering why they're protecting it so much. But
what if it was just every edition of Playboy and every edition of Hustler?
Imagine.
Order.
I tell you what,
priests like,
and that and aliens.
That is very cultural. Well done.
that and just aliens.
Aliens. I just want to know.
Yeah.
I just want to go into Area 51.
Hi, I'm Max. Come in.
Yeah.
I'd probably let you in.
Yeah.
What actually happened to JFK? Love to be the CIA investigating that.
The man on
No,
the man on the grassy
I-
knoll and all that. Yeah.
I thought they had pretty much got a pretty solid explanation of what happened with the guy in the car behind them basically accidentally shooting him.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
Was it
I
the
didn't
2
know that.
Secret Servicemen? Well, one
Yeah,
accidentally fired his pistol.
I remember there was a documentary about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, and it was pretty convincing, if I remember. I mean, I'm a bit of a sucker for anything, so.
If there's going to be anything that's going to be covered up, it's got to be JFK.
Oh yeah.
I would say for me, I've been really interested in ghosts.
Oh yeah, now you're talking my language.
There's always the thing is though, it's like people have always talked about ghosts and spirits and seeing unexplained stuff. I'd love to just know if ghosts are actually real, and I don't know, like there's so much there's video evidence everywhere. You know, you can choose to believe it or not, but like there's so much unexplained stuff. I don't know.
I've had an experience. I've never actually seen one, but
Oh, right.
I've actually had an
Let's save that for my final question then, shall we?
No, I just
not to give too many spoilers, but that is going to come up in a minute.
okay.
Oh.
We'll
so-
keep that quiet then.
I mean, could you not? There is no evidence at all. So you say like over thousands of years, people have kind of said they have these experiences, blah blah blah. There's not once been any kind of physical, tangible evidence
Right.
that's irrefutable.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would love to, if there's a way you could be like aliens, yes or no, enter the machine and it says, yeah, and ghosts, yes or no, yeah, that'd be
like
great.
a magic 8 ball.
Yeah.
Huh?
Magic
Yeah,
eight ball.
magic
Like a
eight
man
ball.
Always says us.
I think it's intrinsically kind of linked to spirituality and the fear of death and a bunch of other shit. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm totally with you on that, Tom. I think that'd be
No, it's good.
Something I'd love to.
Yeah.
It's like, what's it like to work with a bunch of like really young musicians? Because we're sperm to you, aren't we?
Yeah.
But obviously bad, like
I've never heard that before, George.
That's a really
like, not to
weird-
make you sound like really old, but like we're old enough to call you
worms.
father. You're old enough to call us father. Fuck.
No, you've got.
I know we know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Stop
I
it,
don't.
George.
No.
Don't cut that.
But like
That's
bands are getting like younger and younger because they're like a couple of bands that we know like are like second year at uni and they're coming in to see you and do a record with you. I just wonder what that was like because I don't know. I find that it's really hard to go. How old am I? I'm like 24, and sometimes I find it hard because I work with like 18 to 21-year-olds, and it's really hard to get on with them just in a general sense.
So I think there is a big leap that happens around university age. So normally from the start to the end of university, you'd see like quite a rounding of a person happen, like new experiences, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
quite often, because as you well know, I do some lecturing, which is how we know each other. And quite often year one, there'll be that kind of like they're young people, and by the time they leave, quite often the relationship has moved from like young person, older person to like a bit more of a mutual respect kind of. You just get on, and you don't really think about it too much. Like sometimes it can feel a little fatherly. Sometimes you want to waterboard them. In the studio, I don't notice it that often, if I'm honest. If the band are really young, if you're in the kind of 16, 17, 18 bracket, it can be challenging. But normally the problem is they'd be excited.
Yeah.
And that's quite a wholesome problem to have if the people are kind of excited about doing stuff and creating stuff and using the tools, and that's not really a problem. So
I feel like when you come into your place, it's kind of like coming into a little bit like, especially if you've been in uni using the studios, it's kind of going to Neil's place is like coming in the Lion's Den because everything is so nice, and so you spent 10 years building the ranch to be what it is, and if anything, it's really humbling. I would say anyway. It definitely, because when I used to come and like tape up for you and stuff like that, it was really nice, and it's just like really cool to be there, and it gives you like a level of respect for that, like Kurt and Dominic and Daly and everyone else, and I feel like it's really nice whenever we come and see you. It's like a little bit of a treat. That we're like, we'll have a nice day out. We'll have a nice day out recording with Neil, and we'll take the piss out of Max and Joe.
First time I ever went in there, I almost slithered in because I felt really humbled. Like I was.
good. Yeah,
good.
Yeah, good.
I think having people like Dom and Kurt around that are sort of halfway points between the young'uns and me, because I'm such an old, decrepit old man.
I love those guys, man. I love them.
I think we're like ranch whores, aren't we? Really? I mean, so it's not politically correct, because obviously when we come in, we like book with you, and like if you're busy, we're not really like worried. We'd be like, oh yeah, Daly will do something, because
you know the score, don't you? So,
yeah. It's like we've worked with Daly. Like Daly, I think Daly did the drum takes.
Daly
did the record.
Daly did drums and bass.
Yeah, Daly did drums and bass. We always do drums and bass the same. And then Kurt worked on some of the guitars, and then Dom
Neil got hold of me to do.
Yeah,
By
and
the
then
throat.
because we kind of went round with everyone, obviously, but Lewis. Cause
yeah, you're kind of in the fold, aren't you? You know everyone, and everyone knows you, and no airs or graces when you're not around.
It's nice. I miss Coffee Dude. I really miss Coffee Dude.
I miss Coffee Dude. Big time.
Yeah.
I dream about Coffee Dude.
You dream about him?
Good old
Really?
I dream that we're still there, and we.
Should we move it on?
All right, my final question, and it's my fave. Have you ever seen a ghost, or do you have a ghostly tale to tell?
Okay, so I have one.
Go on then, Max.
I have one, and it was when I was a bit younger, but it's something that I do remember to this day. And it's something that's actually changed my attitude towards things, because I'll explain why it has in a second, but I remember I was sort of just about to go to sleep, and it was, I don't know, I can't remember what time it was, but I have in my parents' house, I have these two big cupboard doors on either side of the room, and I used to shut them every night just because they used to creak in the wind, and then that used to scare me. But I remember very specifically, shutting these doors every night, and this night was no different. And I remember turning over, and my head was turned away from them. I remember hearing the door literally open, and I mean like the lock turn and open and creak open, and I didn't move at all. I was just frozen in fear. I remember I was completely terrified, and then I remember after about a couple of minutes hearing the door creak shut again, and I'm not making this up. It's genuinely shit scared here, but I remember hearing that close again, and I got up and turned the light, and there was nothing there. But to this day, any cupboards I have in my room have to be like full on shut. Okay, and I nothing like has to be open at all. But that's one that's affected me for a very.
And how did it change your opinion on stuff?
I was very like as again with Ghost. Like I love horror movies. Anyway, I've always loved horror movies, and by that point I had watched quite a few of them, and I wasn't scared or anything like that, and I wasn't like worried about the fact that there may be ghosts or anything like that. And then when that happened, it definitely changed my attitude towards it, and I definitely thought, what the hell was that, first of all? Like that's the main thing that I thought. But at this point now, I like to think that there is maybe something going on that we don't know about. I'm not going to put a name on it, because there's no point putting a name on it, because no one knows what it is. But
or it's one of those really horrible things that basically someone was living in your house.
Yeah,
there
could have been that. But I tell you what, it's in quite a nice neighbourhood, so I'd be quite surprised, unless it was like my sister or something like that, just
creeping about at night, opening your cupboards.
Yeah. I doubt that though.
Yeah. Got in from a night out, pissed up, and she was really hungry.
Yeah,
she was young.
Thought that was food.
I don't think that would work. I think I'd be quite worried if that would happen. I think I could, please.
Well, there you go. Yeah. That's a spooky tale, Max.
There you go, Max.
What are you saying?
Tom,
yeah. So
to the table.
Okay. So I was about 11 years old. This was back in Milton Keynes, where I was born and stuff. And I was playing with some like wooden train toys in my living room, and like I felt some sort of presence come up behind me, and I turned around and I saw some guy in like a black sort of like leather coat, black trousers, quite tall, with like grey hair, and it was just weird because it was a nice hot summer's day, and his presence was just kind of a bit strange, and I didn't really think much of it, and I turned around and started playing with my toys again, and I sort of told my mum this story probably 2 years ago, and she said that it was, what I described to her was that of my great granddad. Like he would always wear like a black leather jacket, black trousers. He had grey facial hair and quite short grey hair before he died, and she thought it was just so strange because I brought it up so casually, and like I genuinely to this day I can recollect playing with my toys, looking around and seeing him in the doorway behind me. It felt so real.
Wow.
And she said that's what he used to wear and stuff, and I thought that was quite interesting. But yeah, no, I literally can recollect seeing him there, but I don't know.
Wow.
It's really, really strange, but yeah, that would be my story if I'd seen the ghost or stuff. Yeah.
George?
I'm a tad skeptic, but I have seen doppelgangers of people that I know to be dead before. Like my granddad Howard. I've got really fond memories of him when I was younger, taking me to the bookies and then the pub, to get away from my grandmother. This is Newport in the early 2000s. What else are you gonna do? And yeah, no, he was always really well dressed. I get told that I looked like a mixture of my dad and my granddad, different things. So he was always really well dressed and stuff. And I kind of dress the same, flamboyant. I quite like a flamboyant suit and that. But I then have seen complete doppelgangers from what I remember. And it could be like you know how deja vu is just a trick of the mind and makes you think that you're doing things again, but actually it's just your left half of your brain not keeping up with your right half. But I'm going, well, I've seen my granddad Howard, and I've seen my grandpa Bry.
I had one that you just kind of remind me, Tom, when you said about playing with the toys. So my family own and run a pub restaurant kind of thing up near between Cambridge and Bedford.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I went to stay there, and my brother is convinced that the pub's haunted. It's like, I don't know when it's built, 1500s or something. It's really fucking old.
Yeah.
And he's always saying that he's seen loads of stuff, and there's like a chair that rocks on its own, and all those kind of like tropes and stuff. And he said some other stuff of like, those kind of like classic pub ghost stories where you put the chairs up on the table at the end and your wife in the bar, and you turn around, all the chairs are like stacked up in a corner, or they're back on the floor or whatever. And it's all just like kind of slightly hokey and kind of cool. And I love that kind of stuff. Yeah. But I had to stay over at the pub one night, and I slept in this tiny like middle room, and his son at the time was really young, and he told me a few times he'd woken up screaming because there was a man in his room.
Oh.
And I was less enamoured by that story. And I went to bed in this tiny little room in this like, really old building. I just couldn't sleep because suddenly the age of whatever 30 something, I was suddenly petrified that there's going to be a ghost turn up. So I ended up watching Sound City, the Dave Grohl thing. First time I've seen it, I watched it stuck on at like 1 and watched it till whenever it was done, and then watched some other stuff, and really struggling to get to sleep. And eventually I fell asleep anyway. So when I woke up, which was quite late, say like 10 a.m. or something, my brother and everyone had already gone. So I was left alone. I didn't think anything of it, got up and thought I'd get my shit together. I think, it is kind of spooky being here on my own. It's a kind of weird vibe. Got my stuff together, and I walked into the lounge, and one of my nephew's toys just started and moved across the lounge on its own.
Oh my goodness!
That's
wow.
like that's
So
insidious
It's like,
stuff.
I gotta go. Sorry.
like the kind of thing like you drag it back and it'll go or whatever. It's like it reacts to movement or whatever.
Yeah.
And it made a noise and sort of scuttled across the floor, and I absolutely shit myself and legged it. What I think the rational part of my mind, and I'm so sure it's this, is that it's a fucking old building, and I was stomping on the floor, and the vibration was enough just to kick it off.
I don't know, man. You never know.
You never know, yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, obviously that's the thing. Like that little voice in the back of my head was like, "Get the fuck out of here right now." So
I'm sort of like,
I'm like,
toying with you.
So I just absolutely bolted out of there, and
that is like
I don't know if I told anyone about that, but spoopy.
Slowly breaking him, we're slowly making him open up a little bit.
Yeah.
I listened since I was a kid. Ghost stories have been my favourite pastime.
Really?
I love them. I don't believe them. Very rarely. There's been a few that have made me go, fucking hell. Right,
Awesome.
let's wrap it up there, gang. It's been a pleasure to hang out and
Yeah, you too, man. Nice to see you.
quiz you and be quizzed by you. So keep safe and
We'll
Thank you,
see
man.
you in the
too.
future.
Thanks very much, Neil.
So I've had a bit of feedback about some tracks or artists or records that people would be interested in having a little listen to and hearing my recollections. One of them was a project called Wise Children, which was recorded back in, I believe, 2012, although it does get quite foggy when I look back there. One of the reasons this is kind of interesting is it's a solo project of a really talented singer-songwriter called Robin Warren Adamson, and we kind of got involved on doing some more kind of production stuff, so taking his vocal acoustic arrangements and making them more sort of HD and much more kind of depth to the production, extra instrumentation and stuff, so on and so forth. So I picked a track off his EP, Absence and Reunion, and it's the track Absence. I can remember recording bits of this in a spare room at my flat I was living at the time. I have a feeling some of the snare drum might have actually been recorded just sat on a bed. Certainly I remember some of the vocals being recorded in the bedroom, and some of the harmonies and stuff like that, the glockenspiel in particular. I mean, it sounds pretty shit, so that's kind of what you get trying to record a glockenspiel in your bedroom, I guess. But the whole thing has a cool atmosphere. The drums are definitely, I think the main drum parts are recorded in the studio, and it's me playing the drums, which is remarkable to think now. So it's an amazing song. I think it's a really interesting EP. The whole thing is just very vibey. It's got a kind of like gothic. If Nature Horror was an acoustic singer songwriter, it has a really kind of like intense vibe throughout the whole thing. And I think Robin's voice is incredible. It's just so distinctive, and it has such a nice timbre to it. So yeah, it's a record that I'd kind of forgotten about until someone asked me to talk about it, and yeah, I think I've talked about it. So this is probably around 8 years old now. The EP is up on iTunes. It's there to have a listen to, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. It's a really great record, and I do wish Robin had kind of kept going with stuff, but he didn't. So anyway, here's Absence, Wise Children.
My beloved, you amongst the trees. This place flooded, we must cross in between. My beloved, this is flooded. In time I set you apart, and I'll feed you to my heart. I hope this letter finds you well, and the ink still warm as far as you can tell. It's been too long since last I touched your face. Your hair, has it grown? Your lips, how do they taste? We shed skin, left bits of our bodies there. The scars on the landscape that still live here when we're gone. We were awake in winter. Awake at night in winter. Don't you think that we were glorious, and we were glorious, wrapped in blankets? Yeah, we were victorious, and we were awake at night in winter. My beloved, you amongst the trees. This place flooded, we must cross in between. My beloved, this is flooded, and you will be a lighthouse on a cliff somewhere not too far away from home. And as I lurch blindly through the darkness, you will represent a place that I know. And you will be alive. blind me to the darkness, you will represent a place that I know. 'Cause we